Ross here. She is. All right, put her on.
Good afternoon, Thatcher. I understand you've been trying to reach me.
Yes, I have, and thank you for returning my call.
Well, I hope it's good news, whatever it is.
You may not think so. I have just fired Mary Ryan Vanelli.
With cause, I assume.
With good cause.
May I ask what it is?
Oh, it was a matter of professional discipline. I can't have someone working for me who will not follow directives or use their common sense. Mary wanted to go to Washington to do a story about Senator Ryan. I suggested that wasn't a good idea. It seemed highly unlikely that she could get back in time to do the news show, and she went anyway. She could not get out of Washington because of the blizzard, and she missed the evening program.
And so you fired her?
I did.
May I ask if you view the situation as absolutely final?
Mrs. Woodard, it is your television station. You can always fire me and hire Mary back.
I know that, Thatcher. My question is, would you consider hiring her back?
At the moment, that is the farthest thing from my thoughts. I'm sorry. I hope I've not placed you in an embarrassing position.
Oh, no. No, it's perfectly all right. Nothing's going the way I hoped it would these days.
It was done with regret, Mrs. Woodard, but it had to be done.
Oh, no, apparently it couldn't be helped. And I really do understand that you have to run your own department. Well, thank you so much for keeping me informed.
Thank you for taking it so well.
I really don't think I had much choice. Do you, Thatcher? Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mrs. Woodard.
Mr. Ross? May I please have a few minutes of your time?
Hello there, Mr. Grimley. Nice of you to see me on such short notice.
Oh, I'm happy to meet you, Mr. Doyle.
No, Ryan. John Ryan.
Oh, yes, of course. You were referred to me by...
Mrs. Coleridge. Delia.
Ah, now I remember. Please.
Thanks. You see, Dee used to be my daughter-in-law. Well, we've known her ever since she was a child. And while she's not exactly a member of the family anymore, we've watched her progress in commodities with considerable interest. But I don't suppose you want to talk about Dee.
It was my understanding that you wished to consult me about your own situation.
Oh, right. That's right. I did. I do. Now, you see, it's this way, Mr. Grimley. I recently made a commitment to my wife's family in Ireland, and I'm a bit overextended.
I see.
Yeah, well, I promised to lend them $70,000. Now, it's a very good investment, and I know my money's safe. But I find myself a little short of operating cash.
Yes?
Now, over the last year, I've watched Delia and her $5,000 investment grow into $100,000. And it occurred to me that I might improve my financial situation in the same way.
May I assume, Mr. Ryan, that it also occurred to you that you may not improve your own financial situation in the same way?
You're asking me if I know it's risky?
I am.
Well, you can set your mind at ease about that. I mean, wasn't I the guy that told Dee last summer, stay out of commodities? I mean, I lectured her. I said, putting your money in commodities is like throwing it down on the roulette table.
Those of us who earn our living in commodity futures, Mr. Ryan, realize that an investment such as this does not depend totally on chance.
Well-
But the risks are certainly great, and the results are unpredictable.
Well, it's just that I feel like taking a bit of a flyer.
Ah,
You see, even after helping my wife's people, I still have $10,000 left. Now, in cash, if Delia can take her $5,000 and run it up into $100,000, who's to say I can't take my $10,000 and run it up into $200,000?
Mr. Ryan...
Look, I know it sounds like a pipe dream, but, Mr. Grimley, can you say it's impossible?
No, anything is possible. But you understand that returns like this are only a remote possibility.
I understand that completely.
Perhaps you'd accept my recommendation not to invest all of your last $10,000.
You mean invest some and save some?
Well, I might suggest that you begin with, oh, say, an investment of $5,000, which happens to be our minimum, and then see how that goes.
I don't know why. Maybe I just feel lucky, but I feel like throwing in the whole bundle.
Mr. Ryan, you've overextended yourself to assist your wife's family.
Right.
Now you want to take your last cash in the world and put every penny of it invested in commodities.
Hearing you say it like that, it does sound a bit chancy.
I'm happy you think so.
All right. You're the expert. You and Dee. I'm going to take your advice. I'll invest half of it now and keep half of it in reserve.
Yeah, that's a wise decision, I believe.
Right.
Now, Mr. Ryan, have you given any thought to where you want to invest your money?
You mean in what? Sure. Sure, I want to invest it in something that's starting an upward trend.
Oh, wouldn't we all?
Yeah, something that's going to soar.
And have you identified such a product?
Well, look, you see, what I really want to do is invest my money in the same places that Delia does. I mean, after all, as she says, she seems to have the knack of it.
Mr. Ryan, I'm not sure you realize that all investments are confidential. I can't discuss Mrs. Coleridge's account with you.
Well, I know exactly what she's got her money in. It's in tin, and it's in aluminum. So what do you say I go half and half, tin, aluminum?
Well, if that's what you want.
That's what I want. Suppose I write you out a check right now.
Fine. Now, if you're planning to follow the same investment schedule as the one used by Mrs. Coleridge...
Oh, I am.
may I suggest that you keep in close touch with her? She's in the habit of changing her investments suddenly, and she often calls me at home in the middle of the night.
Well, I promise you I won't cost you any sleep.
I'll appreciate that.
And you look after my money. In return, you won't cost me any sleep, right?
I'll do all I can, of course.
Now, what more can a man ask? With your professional guidance and Dee's knack, how can I go wrong? Well, nice to meet you, Mr. Grimley.
My pleasure.
I'll be seeing you soon.
All right.
Bye now.
Goodbye.
I would like to ask you to reconsider your decision about my employment.
I'm afraid that's out of the question.
I apologize for going to Washington without your full approval, for justifying going to Washington without your full approval, for offering an argument instead of an apology to begin with. May I please have my job back?
No,
I made a serious error in judgment,
you are quite correct.
which I regret,
I'm sure you must be.
and which I will not repeat.
That is true, because I'm afraid you won't have the opportunity.
May I have just one more moment?
Yes.
I've never learned how to quit gracefully when I want something. That, of course, was part of my problem in the Washington Story situation.
Indeed.
And it's my problem now. I want my job. Obviously, that particular quality can cause trouble at times, but it can also be a great asset for a news person, especially when it's supervised and controlled.
Now, there we are finally reaching the heart of the matter, because you have been reluctant to accept supervision, not to mention control, from me.
I'm sorry if I gave you that impression. I've tried, in fact, to learn from you.
Oh, I am aware of your efforts in that direction. I'm not denying that you've made considerable progress, but on the other hand, You cannot deny that you are basically self-regulating person, that you are happier when you're working in your own way.
You think I can't work for anyone, is that it?
I think perhaps you cannot work for me.
Cannot or did not? Maybe you felt the first time around that I was working for Ray Woodard. If you were to rehire me, it would be entirely your decision. I'd be working for you in every sense of the word. You've invested 5 months into my training. You'd have to begin again with my replacement. I understand your operation. I understand you better than I ever have before. You know me, my strengths and shortcomings. And I will do anything you say to broaden the former and overcome the latter. If you'll give me a 2 weeks trial and review the situation again at the end of that time, I will accept without question or argument any decision you make related to my future in your news operation. Please, Thatcher, let me try again.
If, during the time you suggest, you will act upon my recommendations.
Yes.
And devote yourself absolutely to your work without allowing conflict between your obligations to Channel One and to your admirable but somewhat demanding family.
Yes.
And accept my definition of what is and is not news, particularly where such definition relates to the activities of Senator Ryan.
Yes.
And present me with a précis, verbally or in writing 15 minutes before air, of exactly what will be in each broadcast.
Yes.
And accept immediately any changes I propose.
Yes.
Excuse me, please.
Yes, I will.
Then you may return to work for 2 weeks on a trial basis, effective immediately.
Thank you very much. You won't regret it.
I sincerely hope not. Now, would you please screen these and select an appropriate 30 seconds of the mayor in action to go tonight behind the budget story, which you will find on my desk.
Right away.
Thank you very much. I know my way in, that's fine. Yes, I'd be glad to.
Is that you, John?
Yeah, it's me. Tommy, it's good to see.
It's nice to see you. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah. Hey, you've got a pretty nurse. I keep doing that, putting my foot in it.
It's good to know that she's pretty as well as efficient.
She asked me to stay a while till she could get back from the store, and I said, sure, I will.
Oh, they keep fussing over me. I can manage on my own. It's late afternoon, isn't it?
Yes, it is. How'd you know that?
Well, I can feel it's cooler. Around noon, the sun's warm. Now it isn't.
That's very good.
Well, I'm making great strides towards independence, all right.
Can I help you, Tommy?
No, I can manage. I can find it on my own. I must say I resent people hovering over me. There's someone coming from the home training for the blind. I expect that's going to make a difference.
I was under the impression that this was temporary, that you'd get your eyesight back.
Yeah, well, so was I, but it hasn't worked out that way, has it? I must say, I don't like to think of myself as being blind. I prefer to regard this as a temporary situation.
That's what we're all praying for, Tom.
Thank you. Now, can we talk about anything but me? I'm bored with myself and my problem. Tell me about you. What have you been up to?
Well, I'm feeling in the pink. Just come back from my broker.
Your broker?
Yeah. Dee and her commodities have made quite an impression, and I'm thinking of taking a little flyer.
Oh, that certainly is news.
Yeah. Well, it occurred to me that I could improve my financial position a little bit, maybe. You see, we've sunk almost everything we've got into Maeve's sister Annie and her family's farm in Skibbereen. We're fixing it up, turning it into a working farm again.
That's very generous of you.
Well, they say the land is good.
Oh, it is. It's wonderful. Good, rich, thick, green earth. It's so green you can't believe it.
I remember.
Now, that part of Ireland must be one of the most beautiful places in the world. The fields rolling down to the sea and the coast lined with beaches and coves. It's a feast for the eyes, all right.
You'll see it again, Tommy.
Yeah, when I'm back to myself again.
Oh, no, you will, believe me. Now, how are things going with you?
Torturous, that's the best word to describe it. Torture for me, waiting for my sight to return, waiting for my naturalization papers. Torture for Faith because no matter what she says, I'm not the person that she wants to spend the rest of her life with. That person, as we all know, is Patrick.
No, I wouldn't be too sure of that. I mean, I know Pat's starting to see other people. And as for Faith, Tommy...
Oh, Faith, she's, very generous. She insists that I stay here till I'm safe from the Donahues. And, well, she keeps saying that there's nothing left between her and Pat.
I don't know. I don't understand how they're feeling, Tom. What more can I say?
No one has to say anything. Faith denies that she's in love with Pat, and Pat denies that he's in love with her. But they love each other all the same.
Well, I wouldn't be too sure of that if I were you.
The best thing for me to do now is to get well again and get away from here.
I hope that just means leaving this house and not going to live in another place.
I have to go away, John.
Be sad to lose you, Tom.
Thank you. I have to go. I must, before I hurt Faith more.
Mrs. Woodard, please. Thatcher Ross calling.
Yes, Thatcher.
A development of which you should be apprised.
Yes?
I've rehired Mary Ryan Finelli.
Well, I couldn't be more pleased. May I ask why?
Why, certainly, but in return, may I ask you not to repeat this to her or to her brother?
Of course not.
I like her.
I see.
And beyond that, she made me an apology and a rational and excellent presentation of her case.
Well, good for Mary.
I should warn you that this is a 2-week on-trial basis with clearly defined terms of employment.
I'm all for definition, Thatcher.
And Mary and I will reevaluate the situation at the end of that period. I'll let you know what happens.
Well, I would appreciate that. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome.
Thatcher.
Yeah.
This time round, Mary's your employee, isn't she?
Interesting. She made that observation herself.
Yes. Well, I hope it all works out splendidly and that everybody involved is as happy as I am.
Oh, I have no doubt there will be.
And for the first time, I feel like it's my job. Something I went out and got for myself. Not something somebody gave me because I'm Frank's sister.
Well, clearly you handled that just right, and certainly put in enough work there to justify a second chance.
Thank you
For what?
for being so supportive. Even though I know you'd be happy if I could stay home for a while.
Not quite right. I'd be happier if you had a job that was a little less demanding, but I never quite believed the espresso on the terrace together and the pasta machine cranking away as anything more than a fantasy.
We can make pasta on Sunday afternoon. Buckets of it. We'll freeze it.
Terrific. I think it might be more realistic not to make commitments of any kind for 2 weeks. Then nobody gets disappointed or mad or sulks.
Sunday's safe.
Listen, Thatcher as much as promised to lean all over you. So you better be prepared for just that. We'll have plenty of Sunday afternoons.
I love you. I love you so much. And nothing's as important as that.
Good.
What are you smiling at?
You.
What about?
You're always so affectionate when you're getting your own way.
Because I feel a little guilty? But I love getting the job back, and and love making it work.
Well, I know you do.
Is it all right?
Sure.
Tell me.
Mayor, if you think I'm going to say it's not all right, you're crazy. I will tell you this. I am proud of you.
Really?
Mm-hmm, I am, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this situation work. And I'm going to keep in mind that you love me and Ryan.
Know that. Count on that. And we'll be wonderful.
Spend Memorial Day in Beverly Hills with Donna Martin and her very best friend, the one and only Tori Spelling. It's the Donna-Rama Top 10 90210 Marathon, all day Monday starting at 9 on SoapNet.